All right, happy Monday. Welcome to the Midday Market Update. My name is Ryan. Always a pleasure. Now we'll give everyone just a few minutes to make their way into the room. I know the alert should be hitting here in any second. All right, I do see the, let me check my phone here. Oh, yeah, the alert should be hitting here any second. Perfect. Happy Monday, everybody. All right, we already got Roxar in the house. Number one, Kara as well. Troy, happy Monday. What are we going to talk about this week, guys? What are we going to talk about this week? Probably Nvidia, as you can tell by the background, right? Probably Nvidia. We can see the major indices pretty mixed, right? Not too surprised. I didn't expect any kind of blast off or really steep sell off. Going into Nvidia's earnings. No, Troy, not talking about that. Can we talk about AMD? Of course, we can talk about AMD, John. That's probably one of my favorite talks to talk about, right? Let's see here. Janice says Nvidia, duh. Glenn, hey, Ryan, Vivian, and Glenn Auger, welcome. All right, but just taking a look at the software here, you see the major indices are mixed, right? VectorVest is not going to advocate buying any stocks at this time. As of right now, we've got two red lights in the color guard. And the MTI is just making its way lower and lower. You can see right here, the MTI sits at 0.77 and the BSR at 0.36. Now, historically, the BSR usually gets down around 0.2 to find, or for the market to start looking for a bottom. So I'm still on the boat that we still have some downside potential. Now, if anyone can, get the market acting right sooner than later, it's going to be Nvidia, right? I think Nvidia is going to give investors, maybe some confidence in the AI trades. I know we've had some valuation concerns over the last few weeks, economic concerns, but overall the market still seems to be intact. The top RT sectors, just looking at it, no surprise with the market pullback a little bit here. We're seeing some defensive come to the top, right? We're seeing utility at the top of the list, up 0.5% right now. On top of that, we've got steel, market funds, petroleum, and bank. So seeing a little bit of a sector rotation here as well. Doesn't MU still look good, James asks. MU definitely still looks good. I like that pivot. Went right back into the 240s today, I see. Sooner than later, how many times have you said that, right? I feel like we're always at a pivotal point when it comes to Nvidia's earnings, right? Always at a pivotal point. That Burry guy shorts Nvidia and Palantir, then announces he's shutting down his fund a few days later. Yes, Pennywise, I did see that. I imagine, his customers and the people he represents were probably shocked about shorting Nvidia, right? Adam says, noise. That's all I'm hearing from your mouth. Okay, Adam. All right, I like the t-shirt. Well, thank you, Prakash. Thank you. I appreciate it. This is a VectorVest shirt here. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in the software. Joey, if you'll switch our screen here. All right, here we've got the home page. Just looking at it, we see the market timing gauge 2 ticks into the red right now. VectorVest does not advocate buying any stocks at this time. Thoughts on Nebius? Will it pull back to the 73.50 range? I'm curious about NBIS. That's a good stock. We'll definitely take a look at that one here. But as far as Midas Touch, look at Micron. Someone was asking about Micron approaching 250. You can see 249.82 right now, up 1% today. AMD 244. See, these are the two semis leading the charge. Eli Lilly still showing some upside potential here. Argon as well, 1.48% to the upside. Pennywise says, I'm on my 4th cup of Cafe Bustelo. Whew. That's a lot of Cafe Bustelo. It's not even 1 o'clock yet. It just became noon. Ooh, slow down on the coffee, Pennywise. Slow down the coffee. I'm only on a cup 2. I only had 2 cups this morning. 4 cups? Ooh, I'd be sweating. Be turning on the AC in this place. All right, let's just jump to the news stories real quick as well. I did want to take a look at Bitcoin today. That's right. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin today. All right, first thing I want to look at is the earnings this week. All the focus is on Nvidia. We already know Nvidia has to report on Wednesday after the bell. But there's some other big names here. We've got Xpeng at the top of the list here on Monday. Pretty quiet day today. You can see a couple big names there. Home Depot's tomorrow. Medtronic, we got Baidu as well come tomorrow. But Wednesday, that's where the focus is going to be. It's Nvidia after the bell. Along with that, after the bell, it's going to be Palo Alto or Pan W. What about AU? Talking about Anglo Gold, Jack? Anglo Gold is in tonight's presentation. Just a little heads up, tonight's presentation's on gold and semiconductors. And I say it right in the video. Just because I'm talking about gold and semiconductors does not mean to go out and buy it just because I put a video on it, right? I say that right then and there. The semiconductors, we'll find out more probably after Nvidia, right? If you're in, some of the more undervalued ones like Micron, something like that, probably pretty safe either way. As far as gold, right? We saw the dip in gold. Was that last week or the week before? But buyers coming into that dip. And I have a feeling, a lot of these gold stocks, showing, phenomenal earnings reports. No surprise with gold prices being where they're at. Adam says, oh yeah, Bitcoin. Oh yeah, that's right. Everybody's all right. Let's see here. Why? How do I? You got it? Okay. Put him in timeout. Adam, you're going to timeout. No cussing on the live stream here. But yeah, Joey, go ahead and put him in timeout. All right. So Wednesday's Nvidia, right? Thursday, we got Walmart, Intuit, NetEase, Raw Stores. So other than semiconductors, which is where all the the attention is, right? Think about retailers, right? We've got big retailers, TJ Maxx, Raw Stores, Walmart. Look at retailers, especially going into the holidays, right? We've seen department stores, that was one of the top RT industries last week. So we're already seeing some momentum and some enthusiasm with those. So I wouldn't sleep on them. Some earnings could give them some more reasons to find some more momentum, to continue that. Let's see here. Friday, it's slow. Nothing going on really Friday. You can see that here. All right. As far as economic news today, we've had the manufacturing survey out pre-market today. A couple Fed speakers this afternoon. Nothing too crazy there. We've got the import price come Tuesday. Factory orders, home builder confidence index. So a little bit of economic data coming out Tuesday here. Wednesday, Philadelphia Fed manufacturing, housing starts, U.S. trade. So the good thing is no inflation data this week, right? Doesn't look like any inflation data this week. We do have unemployment data coming out on Thursday. And then come Friday here, we're going to finish up with PMI data and the Federal Reserve here. Walmart has been hanging in there. Why is Costco struggling so much? As far as the stock, we'll have to take a look at Costco. Let's see here. I'm losing on IREN this time. Dump or wait for rebound? We can take a look at IREN, Marvin. And actually, I have IREN in the list. It's funny everyone's talking about IREN right now. I've got it on here, so we're going to take a look at it. I got a news story about IREN. All right, so as far as Bitcoin, you know me, I stick to the chart here. Whether you're a believer in Bitcoin or not, we're at a pretty pivotal point when it comes to Bitcoin and crypto in general. You can see we're right on the trend line here, right? Right on the trend line. We've got some retests there. So look at this, especially if you're holding Bitcoin, especially if you're, Ethereum, XRP, whatever it may be. If it breaks this trend line, obviously that's going to put pressure on cryptos, right? No surprise there. So you got to ask yourself, if you're a long-term holder, if you're a swing trader, really stick to that as well. Stick to whatever stops you may have in place, right? So I've talked about Bitcoin for a while. Went from about $5,000, hit its high back in 2021. Then we had the cup and handle, which I did the video on it right before the holidays, actually about a year ago. This time, the cup and handle, here's the cup. Here's the handle, came to fruition, jumped right up to my target because I measured from the bottom of the cup to the top of the cup, right? And when I measured that, put me around 118, 120. I forget what the exact number was. But we hit that, we got rejection right at it, and now we're about to break the trend line here, right? You know me, I still like Bitcoin, still like Ethereum, but I'm not going to be bullish on it right now. I'd put a hold rating on Bitcoin just because we're at this trend line, right? If we start to see some breaking or some cracks, just make sure you don't let this trade become emotional. That's all I'm saying. Bitcoin went from 20,000, 25,000 upward to 125,000, right? I still have a small position in IBIT. Yeah, you just got to ask yourself what your intentions are with whatever position you're holding in crypto. But right now, we are at a pretty pivotal point when it comes to Bitcoin. I'll take a look more at Ethereum. Maybe we can look at that on AMA, but definitely Bitcoin right now at a crucial point. I don't have crypto, but watching it, it's interesting. Well, care if you don't have it. I'll put it like this. Then you probably want this trend line to be broken, because who knows? I mean, just looking at the chart here, if it breaks this trend line, 73,000. You can see that's where it touched it last time. We might get a higher swing low, so maybe look here around 84,000. But if we break much more than 84, 85,000, and we take out this swing low, yeah, we could easily approach the 50 or 60s again. And this is it's Bitcoin. It's very volatile, right? Very volatile in nature. So, don't let it become emotional. Just let you know. I know a lot of guys have over 80% of their portfolios in crypto ETFs, and they're crapping their pants right now. Pennywise, I mean, there's a good time to be, overweighted in crypto, and there's not a good time. And right now, I'm going to just say it's dangerous. I'm just going to say it's dangerous, right? Just say it's dangerous. All right, let's go. Next one here. All right, Nvidia CEO. That's the first news story today, right? Jensen Huang surprised investors with a $500 billion forecast. It'll come up at this earnings, right? I am shorting. I'll be a millionaire on the 20th of November. What are you shorting? Bitcoin? Be careful, because, it could pivot right off of that trend line too, right? So be careful shorting it. Just stay disciplined on whatever you want to do here. All right, Nvidia scheduled report third quarter earnings Wednesday. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang revealed in October that his company has $500 billion in orders in 2025 and 2026 combined for its chips that are at the heart of the AI boom. This is my 2 cents on Nvidia. Because it's typically trading undervalued or fairly valued right now, I'm not that, I'm not too on the gung-ho that, shorting Nvidia is a good idea. Now, if Nvidia was trading, double our valuation, like some of the other AI stocks, some of the other hype stocks we see out there, I'd have a little bit more concerns, right? But as far as Nvidia, I guess this is what's going to be in focus right now, is going to make sure that these orders here are still going to be coming through in 2026, right? $500 billion in orders. Whew, that's a lot. That's a lot. Jana says Data Vault rocket ship. Thanks, Ryan. Well, I still have my 100 shares there. Maybe I should have bought some more, but apparently it might be going up today. 5 customers. Come on, man. One is so. But yeah, as far as Nvidia here, they're still the AI king here. I put them right there with TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor. We'll see, but that's going to be the forecast, right? It's all about the forecasted data. Are these chips still going to be in high demand in the upcoming years, right? We'll see. 250 billion of that is Nvidia owned money. All right, so next stock I have here, Nvidia shares may plunge after results. I thought this was an interesting article here. Nvidia is set to report strong revenue and earnings growth, but post-earnings stocks moves hinge on options market dynamics. So this analyst is saying that the pressure could be on, but it doesn't even have to do with the earnings per se. It has to do with the options market. So to break that down a little bit, Nvidia's options positioning is extremely bullish, making options expensive. I always talk about this, right? If Nvidia is reporting and you can't afford Nvidia's options, maybe play a semiconductor ETF or another main semiconductor, because they'll kind of move up in tangent with each other and you're getting a much better deal, right? But look, where implied volatility collapse could hurt call orders, right? So everyone's, especially if you're sitting on a lot of Nvidia right now, selling a call against itself, not a bad idea. Going forward, we need to be, let's see here. A wall is positive. Oh, here it is right here. A wall of positive gamma at $200 creates resistance, making it difficult for Nvidia shares to rally meaningfully above that level after earnings. Interesting article, right? Unless Nvidia delivers an extraordinary beat or guidance or high guidance, high expectations and options market mechanics will likely limit upside and pressure call volumes. I think that's interesting. This analyst is coming about saying, Ollie G says put. You're going to put a put? Ollie G, are you buying a put on Nvidia before earnings? That's daring. That is very daring here. Nvidia will report results after the close on Wednesday. We are doing a live stream for this. It'll start at 4:45. 5 o'clock's the earnings call. And typically we go on maybe like 30 minutes after the earnings call, just depending on what's going on. See here, but revenue growth, 56% to 54 billion, and earnings growth of 54% to $1.25 per share. Unfortunately, it won't really matter for the stock's post-earnings move. This is no surprise here, right? We're all expecting Nvidia to beat, right? No big deal if Nvidia beats on revenue or earnings, right? No one's, that's not gonna, I'm not gonna be surprised by that, right? As you can see, it normally reports $2 to $3 billion beats and similar guidance above. So it'd be no surprise if they report 57 billion in revenue for the quarter, then guide to 64 billion next quarter, which is above analyst estimates of 61.5 billion. Anything less would probably be a disappointment. So they have to beat the high expectations, right? They have to beat the estimates. That's crazy. So implied volatility is too high here. The stock is expected to see a 7% post-earnings move. So as of right now, the options market is looking at about a 7% move on Nvidia, right? So just want to throw that out there. I'm holding on to Nvidia. It'll be volatile, but it won't tank my portfolio if it does take a hit. I'm holding for long future growth. Yeah, Kara, I'm not against Nvidia at all. I like Nvidia. I've just said it probably, the last 9 months, 12 months now. I pretty much said it got to about $2 trillion market cap. Is the bag days of Nvidia? I mean, they're pretty much over, I mean, think about it. The stock's almost $5 trillion. So for it to get another bag, it would have to be a $10 trillion valuation, right? So that's only my thing. Don't buy Nvidia expecting, a bunch more bags out of it, right? Because of the market cap, right? It can get a couple more bags, but it might take some time. But I like Nvidia. If you want some bags, though, I'm more on the boat of Micron. Maybe even AMD, depending on what it's trading. I'm going to be more bullish on Micron than AMD at this time. Still, long-term like both companies. But those were going to be the more bags are, right? The Micron or AMD. And those are going to be a little bit more volatile, right? So you got to ask yourself, do you want to play it safe, less volatility? Potentially, yeah. Nvidia, right? Do you want a couple more bags, with the potential more volatility? Yeah, probably Micron or AMD, something like that. Under put option March 27th. Bill called him out. Bill said, go for it. Man, I don't know. I've told you guys before when Burry came out with that thing, I felt a lot more comfortable with the Palantir short than I did with the Nvidia short. Palantir, I would think that more of a technical short chart pattern rather than a long-term short. Me personally, I'd see Palantir just kind of taking a breather until some of the valuation becomes justified. And if for the off chance Palantir gets back closer to $100, yeah, there's probably be a lot of dip buyers. I don't see it getting less than 100 unless they've got some real problems ahead of them. Don't be cautious unless you risk calculated. You won't make it big. Hey, Ollie G, you make a good point. As long as you can calculate the risk, as long as you're disciplined to stick to that risk, hey, take the trade. If that's what you're thinking, Ollie G, take the trade. But me personally, I don't know about shorting Nvidia. But hey, see what the options are. See if you get a good deal in the short for Nvidia. See if you get a good deal. All right, next story I have for you here. Alphabet. Google. Look who bought some Google. Berkshire Hathaway. I would say Buffett, but I know Buffett's stepping down, and he probably didn't have much to do with the trade, right? But it makes sense. I've talked about Google. The biggest thing for me with Google this year, and why I put it right up there with Meta and Nvidia as far as my Mag 7 picks, is because the valuation. It was very undervalued. Right now, I think it's fairly valued. It's pretty much caught up to our valuation. But the stock is up today. And let's see here. This is right here, making it one of the conglomerate's most significant technology bet in years. Own 4.3 billion of Alphabet, making it the firm's 10th largest equity holding. That's a huge move. That's not a small bet. That's the 10th largest equity holding now of Berkshire Hathaway. It's going to be Google. I think Buffett will continue to be the train. Most others in Berkshire will be dumb. I don't know about that. Google has become one of my best tech holdings. I like Google. And as long as that value keeps rising, as long as price action is chasing our value, that's my favorite chart pattern. Don't overthink it, right? Yeah, you can throw some technicals, moving averages if you really want to get fancy with it. But as long as value's rising, price action's rising, chasing value, hey, I'm here for it. All right, but yeah, that was Google. Again, they are now one of the top 10 holdings of Berkshire Hathaway. Google has one of the biggest moats out there. Yeah, Google's a powerhouse. Google's a powerhouse here. Now, this was an interesting story, and I didn't know this because I don't invest in, gold commodity quite a bit, but I know a lot of people out there have. A lot of people out there are investing in gold. But just keep this in mind. Investors cashing in on gold's run face higher capital gains taxes. This is what it's about right here. Gold returns. We know gold's up. Tonight's video is going to be on gold and semiconductors, right? No surprise. Gold funds, including those backed by physical gold or holding future contracts, are subject to a top federal tax rate higher than one traditional assets like stocks, right? So if you're owning gold miners, doesn't sound like that's going to, affect you too much, right? But if you're holding physical gold, potentially gold ETFs, gold futures, things like that nature, physical gold is generally treated like a collectible. I didn't know this. This is interesting. Fun fact. With a top long-term capital gains rate of 28%, gold future funds generally have a top rate of 26%. Meanwhile, stocks are taxed up to 20%. GLDM has been one of my best performing positions this year. Interesting. That is why I'm investing in gold ETF in India. They don't tax that. Really? 5% in India. Interesting. Very interesting. That's a good, hey, anything to get around Uncle Sam, right? People will do it. People will do. And I'm sure someone out there right now is thinking in their head, well, why am I buying a commodity gold ETF compared to a stock if the stock is, going to be a less tax rate, right? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, gold miners are going to be more volatile than the gold asset, right? So you are going to take up a little bit more volatility on that. They have a lot of tax on NASDAQ. Interesting. Ryan, I didn't know that on gold. I'm so glad you said that. Yeah. So this might even affect your decision. Am I going to get into gold stocks or am I going to get into this other, financial derivatives essentially that have a higher tax rate? Let me shut my door real quick. And that will definitely play a role in what you decide going forward, right? Well, I'm not buying gold bars from Costco. That was one of the first gold videos I ever did. I did this. Yeah, it was about 2 summers ago I started this. I think it was going into fall is when gold first started doing that. I did a short on the Costco gold bar. And I did a follow-up on that because CNBC did a follow-up article on 1 year after if you had bought the gold from Costco, how much it would be worth. Right? Rose says buy gold ETFs in IRA. I'm not a tax expert. I'm not going to claim to be one. Definitely speak to your tax people. There might be some benefits of trading gold in an IRA rather than just a traditional trading account. But again, those are things that, you definitely want to do your homework on. But it looks like the difference is about 20% compared to about 26 to 28%, depending on what type of derivative that asset might be coming from. Costco year to date, 0%. You probably would have been better buying Costco gold than Costco stock. Actually, I'm gonna look at it on the watch list before I eat that. But yeah, that was one of my first gold stocks videos because I saw the correlation. Because normally when we raise interest rates, right, or sorry, lower interest rates, that strengthens the dollar, and typically gold will get hit by that. But gold was rising, right? That's when that correlation was not. I did a video on that, and ever since that correlation was out of balance or out of whack, it's been like that. And gold's just been on a tear now for the past about 2 years. All right, so that's gold. So again, just keep that in mind. Certain gold investments are going to be at a higher tax rate. All right, so here's IREN stock. IREN, you haven't missed the boat. Everyone was talking about IREN. Let's see here. Ali G says, Ryan, I have a question. Many websites are forecasting Data Vault to be $1,000 in 1 year and 3,000, not one, many. I don't know. I haven't seen that article, Ali G. I don't know. I'd be happy if Data Vault went to $10. You know, if it went to 1,000, hey, to the moon we go. But I'd be happy with $10. You know, we'll see. Data Vault again, though, it's in tokenization. It's in AI. So it really just depends on, does the world continue to move that direction, right? And I'm not seeing it not. So I'm still going to be on the bandwagon. Yeah. I like Data Vault. So it will have, but Data Vault, you have to be careful because it has a Bitcoin treasury. That was one of the first companies. I've talked about that before. They actually do have a Bitcoin treasury. It's why I like the stocks, why I own 100 shares of it. But yeah, if that Bitcoin, if it breaks that trend line and starts to go down, right, that's going to hurt their treasury. It's going to hurt, you know, it's going to hurt their books. It's going to hurt their books, right? Because they're not, because they're backed by Bitcoin essentially, or is it Ethereum? I think it's Bitcoin. I'm almost positive it's Bitcoin. All right, but yeah, I don't think it's Ethereum. I think it's Bitcoin. But here's IREN. Look at this. This is what it's about right here. Transforming from Bitcoin mining to a vertically integrated AI compute provider. I talked about this. The Bitcoin miners were poised, well positioned to jump right into the AI hyperscale space, right? If you ever look at a Bitcoin miner facility, you ever look at an AI data center? No, I'm not an expert on either. But essentially, the mechanics are not that much off, right? You know, these Bitcoin miners, they already have contracts with utilities, right? They already have contracts with a whole lot of GPUs, right? Computing power. Same equipment you need to mine Bitcoins, the same stuff they're processing for AI data, right? But this is what it comes down to. I talked about the deal with CoreWeave with Microsoft. But IREN, look at this, $10 billion, 5-year deal. Simple math, that's $2 billion a year, right? $2 billion. You see the stock up almost 5% today. Stock was around 70. I think it was like maybe up to $80. Let's go to 1 month. I know it was about 75. So it got close there. I thought I got close to 80. You see it's on a pullback right now. It's still overvalued in the VectorVest 7 software, right? Still made a quick 30% on Data Vault in 5 days. Nice. Is NUAI a lot like IREN? I don't know, Michael. I don't know. I've never heard of that one. Remind me that we put in the watch list though, if it's like IREN. But this one is like CoreWeave, right? And I said same thing with CoreWeave. Their revenue, I forget the exact number, but it's around $100 million, you know. But anyways, these companies are going from millions to billions, right? So as long as these projects come to fruition, you know, I mean, look at this. Expected to drive multi-billion dollar annual revenue growth over the next year, right? Ooh, keep that figure in mind there. Keep that figure. Despite a rally, IREN shares trade at an attractive 4.6 times 2026-2027 sales, offering significant upside compared to peers like Nibius, right? Nibius is way overvalued. I probably should do a video of these over together. I like CoreWeave. I'm not going to say I don't like Nibius, but I definitely like this one and CoreWeave over Nibius. One of the most interesting companies we've come across in recent months. It's a big one. I mean, you know, we'll see. And I said it just like CoreWeave. As long as Microsoft is happy with the results of what IREN does or what CoreWeave does, what do you think is going to happen? You say Microsoft's doing really good, right? And these two companies are just knocking out, you know, great jobs, right? It's going to garnish the attention of some of the other major hyperscalers, right? Because I think it was CoreWeave. Because a lot of these software companies get mixed here. But if CoreWeave rents out maximum capacity of their computing power, it was like, I want to say it was around $2 billion annually. And put that in perspective, we'll take a look at their sales right now in the VectorVest 7 software when we jumped over there. But very interesting companies. I mean, they've got huge growth potential. And again, like I said, if this actually works out with Microsoft, I could see more contracts in the future, right? I could see them expanding that. All right, so here's another company that's gotten beat up. I thought it was pretty interesting. American Battery Technology, right? Has a demand tailwind for commercial transition. Now, this is American Battery Company, so I'm already going to tell you with the name America and the name battery, yes, it was part of the whole rare earth decoupling thing. It got pumped. It went way up there, and it's coming back down, right? So I'm not saying buy it today, but definitely it's coming back towards our valuation. So this might be an interesting stock because like all the rare earths, all these decoupling stocks, I put them in the same category as the Bitcoin or even like a CoreWeave or IREN. Buy it when people are talking crap about it, right? Because when everyone's talking good about it, it's usually when you're not getting a good deal. But this company here, transitioning from R&D to commercial operations, right? Driven by strong lithium demand and strategic partnerships. Now, look at this. Unlocking $30 million in recoverable materials, reinforcing a supply chain role. That's what it's all about, right? Supply chain. If you're part of that pivotal supply chain of any kind of critical mineral, critical whatever, rare earth, whatever it may be, yeah, you're in a good position, right? You're in a good position. Here, has to do with the Tonopah, I might have butchered that, Flats Lithium Project with a 45-year mine life and 30,000 tons. Huge, right? So it's all about this project, right? This expansion costs are declining. Wait, here it is right here. While it's not profitable yet, right? So still speculative. That's why I think it's starting to crash there towards the end. We'll take a look at the chart. Revenue is surging. Costs are declining, and its commercial expansion can make it a key player in the battery materials system. We're going to take a look at the stock in the VectorVest 7 system, but I like what I hear about it right now. All right, last story I have for you today. I thought was interesting. We've talked about this a couple times, but look at this. Ford partnering with Amazon for dealers. Amazon announced this. I think they started with Hyundai, if I'm not mistaken. And actually, yes, it was Hyundai. It says it right here. But they're going to be starting to sell cars. So I actually put their stocks on this watch list, but I put a Carvana because I'm thinking this is going to be trouble for Carvana going forward. So if Amazon really starts to get in the car business, why am I going to open up a Carvana account when I can just open up my existing Amazon Prime account and go car shopping? And this is a huge potential, I think, for Amazon. I don't know if they've really tapped into this potential yet. But I think as their partnerships grow with more car manufacturers, I would not be surprised to see Amazon. See, there you go. I'm thinking the same thing. The Amazon deal might start cutting into Carvana's market share. And Carvana's overvalued. So I'm going to put Carvana on here, especially for my short people. That's kind of the story I'm saying here. Is Carvana maybe a good short as Amazon steps into this space here? So let's talk about it. Let's jump in the VectorVest 7 software here. Watch list viewer. We got midday market update. All right, let's start with the news here. Nvidia, I've got them both, news and earnings, since I know people are going to talk about Nvidia. Everyone's going to talk about Nvidia. Ryan, I thought lithium was oversupplied globally. Did that change? I don't see a big increase in EV sales. Yeah, lithium, it was oversupplied there for a while, right? It was oversupplied there for a while. But you really got to ask, where are the suppliers, right? Because now it's not about a world oversupply, right? It's about if we can keep up with our own supply, right? Amazon is into too much. Alfredo, I'm not going to disagree with that. They've got their hands into everything. Literally. I mean, it's from quantum computing to picking up a bar of soap or having a bar of soap delivered to your house. And they're into everything. So I'm not going to disagree with that. All right, so these are stocks. We got Nvidia. Oh, what was that one? That NUAI. All right, I'm gonna, because they said this might be like an IREN, so we'll take a look at. Oh, New Era Energy. Yes, I do remember this. top 20. All right, here we go. Auto fit. All right. So on the list today, we got Google, Nvidia, Amazon, Carvana is actually up today from on that news. Look at that, up 5% here. IREN, we got Berkshire Hathaway, Ford, Bitcoin, Ethereum, MicroStrategy, NUAI, American Battery, ABAT as well. We do have Tom Lee's Ethereum fund here. I put this here because of the whole Bitcoin thing. Break potentially right at that trend line, might break it. I'm going to take a look here and see. I do have strategy here as well. So as far as value, you're not getting much value here. Nvidia, which again is really the reason why I'm thinking, some of the AI bubbles. At least as far as Nvidia, I don't see the AI bubble. No, so as far as some of the more speculative AI plays, yeah, I do see some adjustments that need to be made to some of these. A lot of speculation, right? But look at the pressure is on with some of these positions here. Sell recommendation, the only buy recommended stock and the entire list here is going to be Google. Look, up another 5% today. Valuation, it's actually overvalued now. And that's kind of crazy that Google was way undervalued. And then as soon as it reached our valuation, then Berkshire Hathaway decided to get into it. All right, let's graph these. It's 12:36. I want to get to your stocks today too. So go ahead and hit that like button because we are going to go 10 likes for every stock. But yeah, you can see, look at the value. My biggest bull case for Google, it might need a breather here soon. I mean, that's a big run. You're talking about $160, $280, pretty much doubled from its bottom here. I wouldn't be surprised if it took a little bit of breather. For the long run, still going to be bullish on Google. Rising earnings per share. But if that RT drops below 1, definitely would be a little bit more defensive. But right now, that momentum is still to the upside. I like what I see. But you can see it's having a little bit of trouble trying to get above 290. Here's Nvidia. See, we got a 7-point swing. So 7 on 200 is 14. So a little bit less. Probably about $13 here. What is this? 170. Yeah, if we get a gap down to the 170s, I could see some buyers coming in. But even that swing to the upside, we wouldn't get a new high. Interesting. But this is the main level support here. We had a channel here, and now we're just using this channel as a level of support. So as long as we stay above, at least I'm going to give it the wiggle room at the bottom end of this channel. So around 170. If Nvidia breaks that after earnings, yes. And actually, that would be our stop price too. So the VectorVest 7 system giving you a great stop here of 174. That's just below the midway point of this channel. And just from a technical perspective, that's a very appropriate stop on Nvidia. But yeah, rising earnings per share. We'll see what happens here. Don't encourage monopoly. What about Sound? Any update from you? SOUND or SOUN, the Nvidia stock? Well, take a look at that one. Will there be a 6 p.m. video on Nvidia? I doubt it. I doubt there'll be a 6 p.m. We're doing a live stream on Nvidia, and I'm not going to speculate on what's going to happen with Nvidia. But you see that channel, that bottom end of the channel, that's where I want to see price action stay above. You already heard me. As far as the bullish case on Nvidia, it's going to be the options. The options market's going to create some problems, or it's going to make it a little bit harder for Nvidia to get above $200, right? Which is at no surprise, because if you think about that article, the 7% swing they're expecting, well, 7% to the upside will keep it right below 200. So if it gaps up, right, and gets, just shy of 200 or close to $200, that could be it. And it could, just kind of fizzle like it has been over the last few weeks. But if it starts to break above 200, we'll see. But the option market, that's going to be, one of the biggest hurdles getting above that 200 mark. But we'll see. And if anyone can rally the troops, it's Jensen Huang. All right, Amazon, look at that. We just filled the gap. Buying pressure coming in right as the gap fill occurred. You can see that. Let's see if that wick was right there. Oh, just shy. Just shy of the gap fill. Looks like the buyer's coming in real early here. If we didn't have red lights in the color guard, I'd say, hey, get in at the bottom of this gap here, probably not a bad idea. But since we got some red lights in the color guard, and we're not quite with the BSR at 0.2, the MTI, I think you might be able to get a little bit better of a deal. But hey, if you took a nibble at Amazon at the bottom this morning at this gap fill, I can't be mad at it. But RT relative timing, just know that was a little aggressive. But overall, rising earnings per share, it's Amazon. As far as a trade, I'm not quite bullish, but long term, I'm still going to be bullish on Amazon. Here is Carvana. Over the last 3 months, look, the stock's actually just a tad lower than it was. Let's see what it's done over last year. A little bit higher than it was a year ago. Starting to roll over. You can see I got a nice level of support here around 289. This prior swing high here. Got a test from the bottom. 1 test from the top. 2 tests from the top. 3 tests from the top. So this could be weakening now with this 3rd test. You see this big upper wick here? With some follow through. We'll see. RT still below 1. I wouldn't quite short it. Yeah, where's the... Use a freehand line here. That wick is probably right there. Yep. You can see the wick. If I was going to short this, I'd try to get price action real close to this trend line and then open my short. Because if we break that trend line, and that's the trade. Trade's over, right? Time to get bullish on it. But if we get rejection... The follow through, a real confirmation, is going to be a new swing low here around 289. But the stock's still way overvalued. We only value the stock $143. It does have rising earnings per share, but that RT is below 1. The pressure is on when it comes to this position here. And you can see volatility actually widening in this range here. Oh, almost looks like a descending channel in the making, doesn't it? We might just have a descending channel. This actually might be a really good short setup here. Descending channel could have some real problems ahead with Amazon approaching into their market. Overvalued. I kind of like this, from a technical perspective, and just just getting a sense of the market in general. But yeah, I think they might have some troubles ahead. That's Carvana. Here's IREN. I had a zone here. Well, it was 49. Probably right at the bottom of these 2 candlesticks right here. Be the bottom of my zone. Treat this like a zone here. Call it $50 on the upside. Get confirmation to the upside. That'll break us out to this to the upside of the zone. But really, I gotta drag this over. About $43 here. $43.50. We'll just say 43. If it breaks much below that, I would be getting more defensive. You can see our stop price right in my zone here on the lower half of the zone. We lost the buy. We got the hold. So the trend line, this would have been my first, warning sign. RT's below 1. Yes, as far as this position, if you're still holding it, I know I talked about it was around $20. It jumped up. I didn't expect it to go this high that quick, by all means. But look at the value ticking up as well. Look at that value. I mean, the value is just moving on this stock here. VectorVest is seeing the data that I'm seeing. Look, the value went from 782 to 21. So almost tripled here. $7 to $21 in just a few months. But yeah, just be careful of these levels here. It's in a zone right now. If we get a breakout one way or the other, because if we break out to the downside, I'm looking around $30. I'll be honest with you. IREN ever gets close to $30, especially if that value can tick up a little bit more and I'm fairly valued, I might scoop up a couple shares. That's in my budget. Here's Berkshire Hathaway. Look at the value. For a value fund and a guy that's, the fund was fairly valued, but now it's just overvalued. I don't know. I'll have to see what they're doing here. Pennywise, taking loans seems too risky, but I don't know if it's really common. Not really in my comfort zone. I disagree about Jensen. I think he's forward-thinking. I definitely think he's forward-thinking. I mean, the guy came out with a GPU. They invented the GPU. Nvidia did. Let's see. This one here, Ford. Hey, value's rising, price is rising, but stock's overvalued. Earnings is falling. I can't get too behind Ford right now. I'm going to treat it like a technical trade. I can already see the pivots here. Stay above this trend line. And you see our stop price right in on that trend line too. But with falling earnings and overvalued, can't get too stoked about it. Here's Bitcoin or BTC. You can see, look at this. The pressure is on when it comes to Bitcoin. I got some levels around 34 to 32. But when it comes to Bitcoin, it's all about that big chart I showed you over the last few years here. We're right on a major trend line of Bitcoin. So if we break that trend line, I like crypto too. I love crypto. I'm not going to say I don't, but I'm not going to write it down to zero in case it ever goes there, right? So stay defensive on crypto. Here's Ethereum. You can see it rolling over as well. I would probably look for my first support. It's probably somewhere in here as a zone. Actually, Ethereum might be hitting support here soon. If not, I got another line here around 23. But RT relative timing, again, the trend is in favor of the bears. The sell rating's becoming very strong here, right? Very strong. Here's MicroStrategy. I talked about MicroStrategy. I've had very little good things to say about MicroStrategy, especially for Bitcoin. I mean, look at this. This stock was $500. Now it's less than $200. And Bitcoin went from 120 to 95,000. Does not justify, because this is a leveraged Bitcoin move. And I was reading some articles, and pretty much MicroStrategy, their valuation is just going off the Bitcoin reserves. As well, a lot of people were valuing us. Not the what was it? Not the existing business, the underlying business. But MicroStrategy, it is undervalued right now, but it's probably my least favorite way to get exposure to Bitcoin. Maybe we get that price down a little bit more. I would like to see it probably around 150 and 140. Here's NUAI. This is a petroleum company here. Let's see. Overvalued. I'm just curious if I connect these two. It went right to it, right? It went right to this trend. We got a little bit of a pivot, but we're not seeing much of a follow through from that pivot. So I'd be careful, because if it goes back to this line, if it breaks it, we only value the company at 32 cents here. Yeah, New Era Energy and Digital. It might trade out a little bit of a premium here because it's AI related, it seems. But that pivot's not giving me much enthusiasm that I'm seeing right now, especially very little, actually no follow through today. Rising earnings per share, overvalued. I got to get that RT above 1 and maybe even take out yesterday's upper wick just for some confirmation from this pivot off this trend line here. Here's American Battery. So the company we buy at 93 cents, currently trading at 345. We've seen this with some of these rare earths. They get way overextended. Well, I know this isn't rare earth, but the whole decoupling trades, those type of stocks. The momentum came in and then came crashing down. But this one's interesting. Let's see here. It might try to find a level of support here in the near future. I see one around 3.25 here, 324. But I'm still under the bed. This stock is just way overvalued. Strong sell rating. See if we can get a pivot here in the near future. Might be a nice swing trade, but I want to see it happen first. Here's Bitmine Immersion. This is the Tom Lee ETF crypto fund kind of thing, like the MicroStrategy, but for Ethereum. Look at that. The price action on the decline here. A lot of enthusiasm out of the gate here. Retail traders coming in. The valuation is only $4.37. I can't get behind the stock, and we might actually be taking out a new low here. So when it comes to these, Bitcoin funds with MicroStrategy or the Ethereum fund, this Bitcoin immersion, Ethereum looks better. The chart of Ethereum looks better than this. The chart of Bitcoin looked better than MicroStrategy. So, why make something already, pretty volatile? Why make it more aggressive and more volatile than it has to be, right? All right, let's get out of here. Let's go into these earning stocks. I'm going to get to your stocks real quick. I'd love to see the looks on my son's faces when they inherit my portfolio and other assets. Hey, there you go. I'm sure they'll be happy. I'm sure they'll be happy. We have some of our Nvidia sub $4. Sub $4. Woo, woo. I wouldn't sell that out of principle, Bill. I wouldn't sell that out of principle. That's nice. Congratulations. All right. Now, these are the earnings stocks. We got Nvidia in the list. The rest of these stocks will be reporting. As far as the value, other than Medtronic and Nvidia, every one of these stocks is overvalued. Only 2 buy-rated stocks, TJ Maxx and Magic Software. Let's graph these here. Here is Medtronic. Undervalued stock, well above the stop price here. Majority hold ratings, so it's probably doesn't have the most sound fundamentals, but look at the earnings per share ticking up and RT. I like it. Not a bad stock. This is a healthcare company here. See if we can take out this prior high. We're approaching it now, so this will be a level of resistance. If you see rejection, act accordingly there. Here's Nvidia again. With that 7-point swing, 7% expected move from the options market here, as long as, worst case scenario, stay above 170. Hey, I like it. I like it. But the stop price does come in at 174. So keep that in mind. If Nvidia does gap down, could potentially be a sell rating. We haven't had a sell rating on this position since the descending channel when the stock went from around 150 all the way down into the 80s. Here's Intuit. You see Intuit just diverging away from our value, but the value opportunities might be making their way back into the picture here. As long as that value could keep climbing, Intuit, this might not be a bad stock. It's expensive at $651. Now's not the time, but maybe in the future, maybe if that RT can get back above 1 and we're closer to value when it happens, it might not be a bad stock. Here is Magic Software. This is one of the earning stocks. I've never heard of the stock before, but they're reporting. I just looked it up. I mean, look, price action, lower left, upper right, value on the rise, earnings per share on the rise. I actually thought this was a nice little hidden gem I found, just looking through some earnings. And this one was today. This one is today. Here is Target. Exactly what we don't want. Value declining, price declining, earnings declining. I don't have one bull case there for you for Target. Here's Lowe's. It's just overvalued. Look at the value ticking up. I'd like to see these meet somewhere in the middle. Value can get to about 220, or what is it, 227's price. Value is what, 192. If we can meet somewhere in the middle, maybe around 210, I like it. But you can see I had a level of resistance here, broke above it, clear break, rejection most recently. RT's below 1. I think you might be able to get better deals on Lowe's going forward. Here's Ross Stores. Did have some value, but this has turned more into a momentum play here. Buy ratings dominating here. Earnings per share is rising. As long as that RT stays above 1, keep you in the trade. As well, it does look like there's just a nice steady trend line here, which there is several pivots. So if you like to play a pivot, this might do it again here. Here's Baidu. Just way overvalued. I mean, look at the momentum here. A lot of profit taking. It's approaching our stop price. RT actually just went below 1, so be careful on Baidu. Here's Vive Systems. The stock is just moving to the side, very range bound. Overvalued. Value's trying to keep up, but I see the stock just taking a breather, maybe waiting for value to keep up here. Or sorry, catch up. But earnings per share is rising. Not a bad stock at all. What else we got here? TJ Maxx, Steady Eddie. It's overvalued, but Steady Eddie. I've talked about TJ Maxx. I think as far as a defensive consumer stock, I mean, I shop there because it's cheap. I mean, it's TJ Maxx. I think that's just a good defensive consumer play. And just looking over the last year here, nice Steady Eddie going for about, 110, 120 to 146. Yeah, it's not going to, bring in the big bucks, but it's a nice Steady Eddie. Here's Home Depot. No. Price declining, value not doing much. Earnings per share is rising, but this is just No. Maybe some swing trade opportunities, but overall, not liking it. Penny-wise, I definitely agree. Walmart, another good defensive play. Yeah, I could agree with that. And you could see that investors, and just my opinion, the reason why I think Walmart is trading at a premium right now is because of that. I'm just going to call it the Walmart defensive premium. I don't know. But you see value around 57. It's trading at 102, right? Just steady Eddie, right? Just steady Eddie, not doing a whole lot. Defensive stock, right? Earnings per share is rising. The RT remains above 1. I like it. Kara says, I got TJ Maxx and Walmart for defensive. Thank goodness. Yeah, those weeks when tech stocks aren't doing so well, I know we've all experienced it. Those are good. That's when you're happy that you own some of these, other type of stocks in your portfolio, right? These are just gonna be core. So for the most part, these are your core type of holdings, right? Just long-term steady eddies, more on the defense side. I'm not gonna buy Walmart, thinking it's gonna make me a millionaire, right? It's not why you buy Walmart stock. This is another one I thought was interesting. This i3 Verticals. Just looking at it right now, overvalued. If we go to a 5-year chart, I'm not liking this. And even earnings per share, trading at a premium, I'm not liking that one. Let's go to the next one here. That one reported, I think, was today. Palo Alto. Palo Alto has just been its own way for a while now. And my big thing with Palo Alto is the valuation. I mean, it's been trading at a premium, but once this premium got up to these levels, you could see price action just taking a breather here. I mean, really been range bound since what, about October 2024. So just over a year now. It's actually lower than it was a year ago. So again, I'm thinking investors just kind of baked in all the premium right now. We'll see. Oh, is it acquiring cyber? I didn't know that. I5 is like a poor man's Palantir. Stop it, Pennywise. I thought poor man's Palantir was Big Bear AI. I thought BBAI was a poor man's Palantir. Here's Klarna. Let's go to 3 months. I'm not liking it. I mean, it's just trending down. No, either two things. Either A, it's going to make its way closer to that valuation, or B, for me to get enthused, it's got to break this trend line. I mean, you can see the trend line. Rejection. It's got to get above this, or it's got to be closer to value. BBAI is the Temu. Stop it. Oh, my God. It's the Temu Palantir. That's too funny. I'm actually have to pen that. That's pretty funny. BBAI is the Temu Palantir. All right. XPEV, done a whole lot of nothing. It's EV. I can't get behind that behind earnings. Webull, I like Webull as far as, I use them as my trading app, but look at that. Just overvalued. Again, I've seen this so many times for IPOs. You might get some initial enthusiasm, but after that enthusiasm wanes, and you can see the trade set up here. I mean, clear consolidation, boom, 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 right? Breakout to the downside. But look at the value, $1.68. Even at the swing high here, value is at $4.53. If Webull gets under $5 or under $4, it'll have my attention. But right now, I just don't see it. I don't see it. All right, you guys have had plenty of time to hit that like button. Let's see, how many likes do we got here? Oh, look at that. You're going to get 6 stocks today. First 6 stocks coming across the comment section of the first 6 are going to get broken down today. Alfredo says, how is Glenn? Will we see him in Tampa in January? As far as I know, Glenn is doing good. He just got a new puppy. I know I will definitely see him. He is coming to the VectorVest Christmas party. As far as Tampa, I mean, it's all up to his health. I'm not going to speculate. If he's good to go with his health, the doctor and his wife clears it, I'm sure management and me, myself, we would love to have him there. We'd love to have him. So we shall see. All right. Troy. Quick draw over here. NBIS out the gate first. MLI, AUPH, KO. Coca-Cola? Talking about getting defensive stocks. All right, there we go. Got 6 stocks here. At the top of the list, we've got IREN Pharmaceuticals up 2% here. Nvidia Group up 4%, which is currently at a sell rating. And actually, before we add these two here. IREN, you're getting the best deal as far as value. You see the value divided by price. That's what I just wanted to see. I'm still going to be on the boat of IREN. I really like IREN, especially that deal with Microsoft. That really just proved the point I was trying to make when it comes to some of these Bitcoin miners and how they can become hyperscalers. All right, let's graph these. Yo, look at this. You know me, I'm not a fan of biotech or drug companies. I just don't trade them a lot. But this is amazing. AUPH, value rising, price rising. We had a lot of consolidation, giving the stock a reason for a breakout. Broke out to the upside. Looks like this retest was just right on cue here. Right on cue with this retest. Look at the breakout, retest from the swing high. Perfect. I like this stock a lot. The fact that value just keeps on rising, it's over $25 now. It's telling me that this stock might just have some more room to run. I like this for a drug company too. You can't all just own a bunch of tech stocks. You got to diversify. So if you're looking for a nice steady drug company, this might be the one here. I like it. And let's just see what the growth rate here. 45% growth rate in earnings too. Nice. Quick on the draw because of my T-Mobile network. Troy, I got T-Mobile too. Look at that. Quick. AUPH, I like this though. I mean, 45%. This is phenomenal, especially, again, if you need to diversify, if you're way too tech heavy, that kind of stuff. This is a drug company. Not a bad one to keep your eyes out for. And just, if you want to look for a retest, that would be it right there, 1351. It looks like it retested it the following day. I don't know if that quite counts, but if you see it roll over, that's what I'm looking at. But right now, that momentum is to the upside. Here's MLI. Look, apparently we're talking about an ascending channel here. Ping when you're supposed to ping, pong when you're supposed to pong. There it is, still in the channel. Keep on rising. Look at this value. Look at it. This is Moeller. Yeah, this one I like. Values undervalued, 153, trading 106 here. Again, if you need to diversify, this is another type of stock. As long as it's in this ascending channel, get that money. Here's MKSI. Look at all these stocks. You guys, I didn't even put that as a prerequisite, but chasing value, undervalued, growth rate 25%, rising earnings per share here. You see the stop price, it's working. So if it's working, why not? Keep you in the trade here. Strong buy rating. Phenomenal stock. This is MKSI. This one is a tech stock. This is semiconductor here, but still good stock overall. Here's Atro, Atronics. This one, look at this value, price rising. It's kind of just fairly valued. Price and value kind of switching roles here and there. Look at this uptick in earnings per share. Even though the growth rate is faltering, look at this, 24% still. That is a nice momentum trade. The stock going from about less than $20, now over 50. Phenomenal stock. Phenomenal stock here. Ology says BBAI and Palantir will reverse roll soon. Oh, I don't know about that. That's a stretch. That would be a stretch, Ology. I wouldn't mind if they did, because I've been talking about Big Bear AI, but that's a stretch. New people who work there, John says. I like all these stocks you guys have given me. I feel like are good fish today. I mean, AUPH was the first one. MLI. Well diversified too. One semiconductor so far on the list. Atronics Corp. Going up. And this is the, we got Coca-Cola here. Overvalued. I mean, it's Coca-Cola. Let's see here. Value's rising, price is rising, just trading at a premium. Again, I'm going to put it like in that Walmart category, right? It's trading at a premium because a lot of people are using this as a defense stock. Growth rate still at 10%. Not a bad stock. Let's see here. Here's IREN again. We talked about IREN. This is the levels I'm talking about. Yeah, about 43 on the downside. Yeah, 43. That would be my stop, and we would have a sell recommendation by that as well. NBIS. All I'm seeing here at NBIS is a pivot off the bottom of this channel. Stay disciplined because that is a lot, and I mean a lot of momentum to the downside right now. We could easily just get one little pivot and break this channel clear as day. If we break this line, yes, I'm going to get defensive on it because a lot of these stocks here, these software companies, this is where I see the AI bubble problems. This is where I see it, right? Because the valuation 1655, we divide 87. Yeah, I can see breathers with that one. Here's CoreWeave. Again, look, back in the descending channel here. These stocks need breather. The bottom of this channel now is now approaching our valuation. So if price action ever came back down to this valuation here, and if it's close to, or sorry, came back to the bottom of this channel and it gets really close to our valuation, this might be the pivot to play. I'm telling you right now, CoreWeave, this might just be the pivot to play. I like this. Not right now, but that might be a good pivot. NBIS, the only optimism I see there today is literally just a pivot, and this momentum could end over. Like NBIS over CoreWeave. I'm not going to say I like one more than the other. And as far as saying I like IREN more than these two, it's mostly just because, the valuation thing. And CoreWeave and NBIS, I mean, they're much more popular names, right? Much more popular names. All right, let's go back to the homepage here, see where we're at with the market. What time is it? 1:06. It's time to go, and look at that. Again, that MTI, that BSR, we're getting there, but we're not quite there, right? I've been talking about bottom fishing just before the holidays, and that situation is still kind of coming to fruition, right? We've seen that MTI make its way even lower. It's at 0.76 now. So I'm, other than, buying 100 shares of Data Vault, I'm not out there just pulling the trigger on random things. So make sure the chart makes sense. Trade the chart and not your heart, especially with the MTI trending lower. On that note, everyone have a wonderful afternoon. Don't forget, we got the live stream for Nvidia's earnings, 4:45 on Wednesday. See you guys there. Take care.